So Fani Willis, the prosecutor in the Fulton County case against Donald Trump, now just admitted to having an inappropriate sexual affair with the lead attorney who she appointed.
Well. The Fani Willis case has given so much publicity that even Vivek Ramaswamy could not help but comment on it. We all know what happened there, and for those who don't, take a look.
Visit you at a place that you resided. Okay. I don't understand. You're going to give me that. In 2020, I lived in South Fulton.
Okay.
That's the only place I lived in South Fulton. That's before I had to abandon my home, Judge.
All right.
And at my home in South Fulton, he never came there, okay? So if you don't come someplace, you can't live there.
Ms. Willis, I'm going to have to caution you. This is going to be the first time I have to caution you. We have to listen to the questions as asked. And if this happens again and again, I'm going to have no choice but to strike your testimony. So, we need to break this down. Ms. Merchant's question, I believe, was asking whether you lived anywhere other than South Fulton.
So this passage hid the whole sordid truth. This is just an unstable woman who's afraid of the judge's verdict in her case. She lost the case a long time ago, but she's trying to make something out of it and get away with it. Her job and her personal life are in shambles. What's next for Fani?
To actually prosecute this case. A few funny things about this. First of all, you got to love the fact that this admission came on, of course, a Friday afternoon before a weekend. No better way for somebody to know that they're trying to bury the news than to just drop it quietly on a Friday afternoon. Second thing, and I just got to observe this, is that no doubt that if Fani Willis were the man and the other appointed attorney were the woman, there would be a far greater specter of concern here than somehow if it's the woman that's actually on top in the hierarchy. But put that one to one side.
And this is really interesting. If she had a man in her place, it would be over much quicker and without any proceedings. But in her case, it's a long hearing with a lot of headaches. The judge at some points just couldn't stand it and reprimanded her.
The funniest thing about this is that her alleged defense, or the reason why this shouldn't affect the trial, is that the relationship only began after she had actually made the appointment for the prosecution. Now, if you think about this, that's actually backwards. I mean, it's bad either way. But the reality is, suppose the relationship did begin after this prosecution had already begun and the appointment to the case had begun. That creates more of an appearance of applying pressure using personal dimensions to achieve a particular goal.
It really is. She just hired him to fulfill her purpose and had a personal relationship with him. That's terrible and should be punished.
So I don't know why that specific sanctimonious statement that she issued today, saying that it only began afterwards, is at all relevant to actually whether or not this prosecution is being fairly and procedurally correctly handled and carried out. And if you imagine if this were a Democrat president defendant with a Republican prosecutor who had an inappropriate affair, say it was a man with a subordinate woman, putting pressure in the middle of a case, using a personal sexual relationship to do it, there's no doubt that everybody would have this tossed out on those merits. Well, you know what? If we really have one standard of the rule of law, the same rules should apply the other way as well. So anyway, just some obvious things to say, but that seem complicated in the way today's media presents it. So how's that for a Friday afternoon?
A court in Georgia will probe information about the connection between local prosecutor Fani Willis and her lead prosecutor in the anti-Trump election interference case. It will soon be over for her. You know, it was intense. For some reason, I think if it had been Trump, the whole thing would have been over in a heartbeat and he would have just been sentenced right away without any proceedings. The reality is a woman can defend herself and a man can't. She used her partner to achieve her goals, and for that she should be punished to the full extent of the law. Ramaswamy is certainly right, and I agree with him. What do you think about that? Do you agree with Vivek? Write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to watch other shocking news on the channel.